Hey guys, how you doing? We're here for secret code names. So, the secret code names are Florida Peach, Phantom Violin, Justice for Julia, Flamingo, TransExpress, Lichen and Lich, Lichen and Lich, Fantasia, Leonidas, Balthazar, and Archangel Haniel. We got all 10. Now, the timestamps will be in the description, so you guys can fast forward after the live is done to whatever secret code name or secret code names resonate with you. If you're not familiar with how these secret code names work and you're new here, these secret code name readings are purchased by individuals. These are their personal readings for this full moon in Pisces, total lunar eclipse transit. But the beauty of them is anybody can resonate to a secret code name. One of them can stand out to you, jump out at you. You're drawn to it for whatever reason. And the chances are, because we're all connected, there's likely a message in there for you. Okay, if you would ever like your own personal reading with me for these themed moon events that we do, you can book them through my Etsy shop. All right. The theme for the next new moon, our second new moon in Virgo, which is a partial solar eclipse. The theme for that one is a page out of an old book. And I'm excited about that. So we're going to get into the readings today. I've got my Wild Unknown archetype cards. I was guided to those. And then I've got the Wild Unknown tarot to go with it. I also have the Alchemy of 1977 England tarot. If I feel like I need further clarity on anything, or if I just feel like I need a different deck. And then I've got my Divine Conversations deck. I'm going to pull one for each of the secret code names. We have 10 of them all together. We have 10 of them all together, which I'm super excited about. And we're going to get right into it. So with that, timestamp 222. Love that. Florida Peach. Now, before y'all end up in the comments like it's Georgia Peach and Florida Oranges, I'm well aware. Okay, I'm well aware. And I asked Spirit, I was like, are we sure about this? Florida Peach? And Spirit was like, yeah, Florida Peach. So whatever synchronicities Florida has, if it's, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the Sunshine State, something to do with that, and then peaches, whatever synchronicities we have around peaches. So Florida Peach, Spirit please, to start. What is the overall energy of this transit, right, with this theme of you don't own me when teacher abandons student? We got the self and we got the desert. The self and the desert, card 29 and card 37. Okay. Card 29, card 37. Let me pull this up for you. I don't use this deck often. I was kind of excited when Spirit pinged me to it. So the self, the keywords are the soul, the witness, the watcher. The self is the prism that allows the spectrum of our personalities to radiate. It does not judge, prohibit, suppress, or oppress any of its parts, as it lovingly knows that all aspects have a time and a place, and leads us to experience the full breadth of life's offerings. The self is the central abiding container, the awareness of the infinite universe of possibilities. When this card appears, it is a call to step back in to witness consciousness, to observe yourself navigating the world. Ask yourself, am I the stew or am I the chef? In most situations, our ego draws us into the cauldron where we swirl, spin, and smolder in chaos. Yet the self is a graceful culinary dancer, watching, waiting, observing as the spectrum of ingredients become the flavor of our life. Look in the mirror for 30 seconds or more and attempt to see the you behind the you. When this card is in its light, it is witnessing and accepting new aspects of self. When in shadow, it is disjointed, fatigued, or diffused energy and purpose. If you want to go deeper into this card, you can watch Robert Bly read Kabir's poem, The Clay Jug. If this card is perplexing for you, you're on the right track. It challenges us to expand our sense of identity beyond the little self, and the ego resists such movement. It is no surprise that two central mantras in the yoga tradition concern themselves with the self. Experiment with Soham, I am that, and Sat Nam, true identity. So for you, right, this is really big. Just starting off, this is really big, talking about the self and the different prism of the self, the facets of the self, and where we choose and how we choose to direct our energy, right? We were talking about this in the cosmic currency where and earlier this week for that matter, where I was talking about how when the masculine and feminine aspect are disconnected from the self and the mind is choosing without honoring or acknowledging the feminine, we're an ego, right? That's what the ego is. So it's talking about when the ego doesn't like it, the ego doesn't like when we're in union because it doesn't have control. It can't do whatever it wants without listening to that divine voice within the self. So that's going to be big for you with this full moon, especially as a teacher to others. You might realize that it's not the reality you want to cook anymore, or that you want to cook in, right? The different experiences with certain people. And once you recognize certain mirrors, like you don't have to necessarily cut off every mirror, especially if it's like work related, because we're meant to be in our careers sometimes, but you can trust that this person is not meant to be in your mirror anymore, and that the universe is going to remove them or move you and them around to where you're no longer really interacting with each other, or the issue becomes a non-issue because you recognize the mirror and have moved on from it, right? That was the self card. Now, card number 37. Card number 37. If I can pull it up. There we go. The desert. Keywords are the drought, the wasteland, the badlands. The desert leaves us disoriented, desperate for direction, grasping for meaning, longing for solid ground. For endless miles, we are confronted with a lack of clarity and existential dread. We are thirsty, hungry, pleading with life to get back to normal, to become animated by the simple pleasantries of day-to-day life. The desert offers no such comfort, and all must pass through it. If you can embrace the discomfort of the desert, knowing you will someday reach water again, you can tap into the potent energy of the landscape. Its lights are blindingly bright, and its darks terrifyingly deep, which makes for unbridled creativity and clairvoyant visions. Truths reside in the desert that otherwise remain hidden. The crows, the shadows, and the coyotes' calls surround you. Let the winds and sands work their deep magic, weary traveler. When light, this is surreal, strange, unexpected visions and silence. When dark, it is drying, deadening, disorienting, and isolating. If you want to go deeper into the energy of this card, you can look into Frank Herbert's Dune, Barry Lopez's Desert Notes, or Edward Abbey's Desert Solitaire. It says, when in the throes of the desert, contemplate the following. You are not alone. You have more supplies with you than you think, and water is very near. The desert is alive and pulsing with energy despite its desolate appearance. Turn toward it rather than away from it. So the desert, right? Spirit is really calling you to focus inward. This isn't about love in the outer experience or how we recognize it through other people. I water you, you water me. This is about surviving in a waterless place where the only water present is the water within yourself. This is where you love the self and listen to your intuition and really let that energy of knowing that the outer experience is not going to water you the way you want to water it, that you have to choose to water yourself a certain way, that you have to choose to love yourself and allow yourself to get these visions in the silence, in the quote unquote aloneness, when you are not truly alone, right? This is a relationship that's building between you and spirit. So with that, let's get into the tarot and see what this looks like for you. Hey, Lala, how you doing? Happy full moon. What is going on, Spirit? For secret code name, Florida Peach, and those who would be drawn to the secret code name message in divine time. What does this healing energy look like for this total lunar eclipse? We've got the 7 of coin with the 10 of coin and the 3 of coin. So lots of coin, right? Earthly matters. Take it a layer deeper for me, please. Got the World card. Oh, I'm hearing from the James Bond movie, The World Is Not Enough. The theme song, I'm not attempting to sing it because I can't match her vocals, but the world is not enough. That song. And then we have the 9 of Swords in the center, underneath the 10 of Pentacles. And the Hierophant on the 3 of Pentacles. Take it one layer further from you, Spirit. And one more. Okay, that's what I felt. Cool. All right. Bottom of the deck is the 2 of Swords. There's the solar eclipse. There's that one. And the top is the Mother of Cups. Okay. So what we've got going on here. The cycle is most definitely ending on things that are not enough, right? The 7 of Pentacles was clarified with the World card. That's ending. It was further clarified by the Ace of Pentacles, the brand new beginning. So Spirit is definitely working with you to close cycles out that are not enough for you and your highest good path, right? If it's blocking or in the way or causing too much of a wait time, Spirit's going to help you remove that, end that cycle so that you can welcome in new. The 10 of Pentacles with the 9 of Swords and the 10 of Swords, which came out in the reverse. If there is a certain facet of reality, whether it's work or home life, right, with the 10 of Pentacles, that's causing you anxiety, the self-betrayal is ending, which means whatever it is, right, inside those areas of life that is causing you stress, I feel like it's a choice point, right, where you're no longer choosing these things that are so uncomfortable or causing you such anxiety, right, where they're not promoting a healthy mental state. Those things are going to be letting go of. And I like that energy. Okay. Then we have the 3 of Coins with the Hierophant and the Ace of Wands. The 3 of Coins is a contract of our own choosing For you, whatever you chose, there was a Chiron wound attached to it that you are absolutely getting revelation about, that you are absolutely healing through, and that you are finding the key to unlock your way out, right? To the door that leads you out of whatever these contracts are that were previously chosen that are no longer suitable for the path you are headed on. The Ace of Wands is divine inspiration. And I feel like on the whole, with all 9 of these cards, if you do feel like you are at a crossroads and don't really know what to do, you don't really know what is truly draining your energy, I think that you're going to be, I think it's going to become really, really clear on who or what is draining your energy. Whether it's financial energy or emotional energy, mental energy, psychic energy, right? Where your thoughts and your emotions are flowing most of the time, that distracts you from this kind of self-recognition, self-watering kind of energy. The Mother of Cups on the top is all about nurturance and understanding what truly belongs to you. And in some cases, especially in the desert, it might truly just be yourself. That everything else and everyone else can be transitory, right? That even if some people, of course, stay, there is always the possibility that everybody might transit out, right? Everybody might start to transit out of your mirror. You know, as you grow and you evolve and you become more self-aware and you become more self-nurturing and you start to own that responsibility of loving the self, because your outer experience isn't loving you back the way you deserve to be loved, things start to fade away, right? Old mirrors that didn't love you start to fade away because your vibration's different. So I think that's going to be a big key thing for you with this full moon as we continue through this nodal transit with Virgo and Pisces. The biggest challenge, right, the X of the spread, is going to be anxiety over not having enough or not receiving enough, and then trying, right, with inspiration, trying to make it more than what it is, and continuing to choose anxiety provoking new beginnings, right? Like resets with the same mirrors. The value, or the diamond in the spread, is talking about abundance when we do close Chiron cycles and end self-sabotage, right? The 10 of coins to the world and Hierophant, and the 10 of swords reversed. You have a lot of ones in your reading, okay? Like even your main cards, we have the 29, which is 11. We have the desert, which is 37, breaks down to a 10. We've got double aces. We've got double 10s. So you've got a lot of ones. So you're in the middle of an initiation, right? An initiation cycle where you're starting a whole brand new book. Yeah, there's old books and some characters might continue forward, but there's a whole new theme and a whole new method to the madness, right? If you think about like a book series, like The Wheel of Time, there's 15 books. Yeah, some characters are start to finish in the series, but not all characters are. Not all characters make it out of the book they're present in. New characters are introduced in different books, right? So you're starting a new book. So the main characters that are there by your side, they will continue with you to the end. And then other characters are going to die off in this episode. You know, other characters are going to be introduced in this episode. And it's a new phase of life. So I hope that helps. When teacher abandons student, sometimes who we are in the mirror for others, teaching others, just has to end. Yourself is changing. And you don't need to teach the same people anymore. You know, that time's done. That time's done. Hey, Kristen. If I didn't say hi to you already, I think I did, but that's okay. Hi, Kristen. We're going to move on to the next secret code name, Phantom Violin. All right. Let me get a good shuffle on this real quick, and I'll timestamp it for you. You were distracted. LOL, so was I. So was I. Okay. Timestamp for Phantom Violin. Oh, another 222. 2022. All right, Spirit. Lots of fucking twos. We'll take it. Lots of twos. That is divine harmony at its best. 22 is a master number of co-creation, right? Co-creating with Spirit. Love that. Love that. Okay. Spirit, please. What is going on for secret codename Phantom Violin? We got two more cards. We got the riddle and the offering. Card number 53 and card number 64. The riddle and the offering. Okay. Card number 53. The riddle. We love riddles, don't we? Keywords are the puzzle, the question, the mystery. When the riddle is present, one must stop searching for the quote-unquote right answer. It cannot be found, and ultimately it is not important. Rather, there must be a shift from the literal to the metaphorical, from logic to mythic. You are thinking too small and literally about the situation. The riddle card appears when the energy is deep and mysterious, like the elusive wisdom in a Zen koan. Focusing harder won't do it. Neither will increased effort. Time, surrender, and humor are your only allies. What feels like the most pressing dilemma won't reveal its deeper wisdom for a long time. Eventually, you'll learn a profound lesson from the riddle. For now, get comfortable with the limitations of your intellect and the reality of not knowing. It may, in fact, be the only reality there is. When light, it is a great awakening or aha moment. When dark, it is manipulation, deceit, and trickery. If you want to go deeper into this card, practice the Buddhist I don't know mind. Who am I? The only way to work with a riddle successfully is to not work. Ponder these koans. The coin that's lost in the river is found in the river. If you meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha. The riddle. Interesting card. Interesting card. Great awakening or an aha moment. Let's see how that ties into the offering. Card number 64. The gift, the present, the sacrifice. Unlike many of the other cards in the deck, the offering carries a clear as day message and a call to action. As you may have guessed, it is time for something to be given and given up for the sake of the bigger picture. If nothing comes to mind immediately, though it's likely it will, take time in meditation to consider what must be offered and who is to receive it. It's likely you'll feel attachment and hesitancy. You'll make the excuses, but recognize the link between the word sacrifice and the word sacred. One leads to the other. When we offer up something to the greater good, we lighten our load and become more able to serve. Imagine for a moment if you were to offer your whole self unconditionally to the world. For now, start small. When light, it is generosity, donation, and volunteering. When dark, it is giving with expectations and keeping track. If you'd like to go deeper, look into Odin's sacrifice of his eye in Norse mythology. If there is a gift you've been thinking of giving someone special, now is the time. Once a week, Gandhi gave up speaking for a day, offering himself to divine silence. The offering can come in all shapes and sizes. The offering. I think it's easy. Then that one, I think it's easy. Did I say easy? Interesting. You should have seen what I had to edit out for the cosmic currency. I was tripping all over my fucking words like so many times. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Uranus is retrograde in Gemini. Anyway, I digress. One was talking about starting small, and the other was talking about being too small, right? Thinking too small, and literally about the situation. And I feel with these two cards, what you ultimately give up might surprise you. When we receive gifts, we also must give, right? To reciprocate with the universe. What are you giving up? Is it something about yourself? Is it something or someone in your reality? What is the exchange, right? And it's not about giving with expectation, which I think you're well aware of. It's not about manipulation and deceit and trickery. It's about really awakening to the power that we hold in this small human body that we have, right? The huge energy that's in there. And when we get out of the small world that we live in mentally, right? We end up finding ourselves in a much bigger universe. So we're going to see how this plays out for you in the cards. Spirit, please. For secret code name, Phantom Violin. And I think it's interesting too with the secret code name, because like the Phantom of the Opera was the figure that I saw, right? But instead of playing a piano, it was a violin. Now, I'm not super familiar with the Phantom of the Opera, but his whole energy is very ghosty, right? Very real, but not real, and kind of defiant, right? And yet it's playing the violin in the visual that I got. And so it's almost like a ghost, a not real fear or energy that's kind of haunting, who's playing the violin. And when people, bust out that violin for people, it's like Cry Me a River, and I can't help but sense that maybe it's a part of the riddle, right? That maybe it's just a part of the riddle. What is going on, please? What is going on, please? We got the Sun. That's a nice first card out. We got the Sun with the Six of Swords. The Eight of Swords, forgive me. And the Six of Cups. Clarify it further, please. We've got the Four of Swords. The Six of Swords. I must have known it was coming out. And the Death card. Clarifying further, we have the Ace of Swords and the Mother of Swords. Give me one more, please. And the Lovers. Major arcanas for Scorpio and Gemini and Leo. On the bottom of the deck, we have the Son of Pentacles. And on the top of the deck, we have the Daughter of Swords. All right. Daughter of Swords on top is a return to beginner's mind, right? Allowing Spirit to teach you, right, that you would be a student. Allowing the mind to reset and not do things the way it's used to doing things. The Son of Pentacles is allowing it to take time. Allowing it to take time and not fight the process, right? Not fight the lessons that you're being taught. With the Sun, the Four of Swords, and the Ace of Swords. This is the truth and the revelation of healing cycles and really shining light in a way of being that is like Christ consciousness, right? Even the Four of Swords, the Lamb has the sun on the third eye. It's allowing yourself, right? The yang aspect of the self, the character, the role that we play in the greater world, to be very much connected and at peace in that Christ consciousness, to let the mind be still and to practice stillness, because truth comes to us in stillness. When we're thinking about things and our wheels are spinning, we're distracted, right, by the small. We're distracted by the literal reality, and our wheels are just spinning and spinning and spinning about it. When revelation truly comes in silence, when we allow the mind to be observed, not necessarily to control it, but to be observed, because thoughts don't typically stop or shut off, but we're either actively participating in the wheels spinning, or we're observing what the wheels are spinning about. And there is a difference, because one is much more at peace than the other. When we're just simply observing thoughts, we understand that the thoughts are not our own and that they're coming from the outer experience and energies that are pulling on us to respond to those thoughts. But when we are completely engrossed in the thoughts, there is no peace, because we're searching for answers inside of a train of thoughts that seems to never end, right? The train just goes on and on and on forever. I feel like getting into Christ consciousness, looking at the actions that he was partaking in, how he carried himself, even in metaphor, right? His acts, even in metaphor, how you can weave those understandings into a kind of evolved character. with the Eight of Swords, the Six of Swords, and the Mother of Swords. This is recognizing that whatever your mind is trapped on, you need to move forward and cut it off quick and easy, right? Cold and calculating. If it is causing you to be immersed, drowning inside your thoughts, that you're distracted by the reality of the thoughts, chances are it needs to go. Chances are you need to move on from it and find yourself in a more peaceful mental state by eliminating whatever it is that's causing your wheels to spin. If your wheels are constantly spinning about it and it's distracting you from peace, you got to ask yourself, why is it there, and why are you making it so important that all of your energy, right, your mental energy is being consumed by it? The Six of Cups with the Death card and the Lovers. This is a sacred soulmate, right? A divine mirror that is transforming and or ending, where the roots, the emotional roots, run deep, whether it's romantic or otherwise. A certain connection with a sacred soulmate is ending, and it's probably because they are consuming way too much of your mental energy, especially if it's more than one, right? Especially if it's more than one. You are meant to thrive and transform in a different direction with other sacred soulmates. The challenge of this reading, right? The X and the spread. It's when our ego thinks we can move these connections forward, right? These high mirror connections where we think that we can move them into progress. When we feel like these sacred soulmates moving forward with us is the truth. Or that our truth is falling on deaf ears when we move forward from them. The truth, when people hear it, it hits differently. And when people are meant to reflect on it in hindsight, they can't forget it, right? It's like one of those things where you can have certain dynamics with people and you remember specific things that they said. And it's like, well, why are you remembering that specific thing that they said? And it's because there's healing around it, right? Like I can't remember every fucking conversation my mother ever had with me, but I can remember certain things that she said. And it kind of itched at me and bothered me for the longest time because I needed to heal, right? I had healing around those things. So when you have these high mirror relationship dynamics with people, when the truth is spoken, when you allow yourself to speak it, even if they end up moving forward, it's something that's going to reverberate inside their spirit, inside their energy, because the truth hits different. And we can't forget it because we can't forget it. The truth was divinely spoken for a reason, right? It came out of your mouth for them to hear for a reason. And until the healing takes place around it, it will spin inside their own head. You might be dealing with some of that yourself, right? With the wheels spin and things that people say and why it bothers you. And it's just simply because maybe you didn't recognize what the healing around it is yet. What is the mirror of it, right? For yourself. And do you accept that mirror for what it was and deny it and its existence as a part of you moving forward? Or are you going to claim it and choose to continue forward with it, right? Is it a positive mirror or is it a tumultuous or toxic one? And I think that's important. I think that's important. Okay. Is there anything else with this? The value. Yes. The diamond of the spread. The Eight of Swords with the Four of Swords, the Death card, and the Mother of Swords. If you can acknowledge when your mind feels trapped in its wheels and choose to observe, right, to transform your relationship with the thoughts, you have more control than you realize. You can think the thoughts and have the thoughts and direct the thoughts in a way that you desire to receive them. They're not in control when you're an observer, right? Value of the spread. So, secret code name Phantom Violin. I hope that helps. I just realized I don't think I pulled a divine conversation card for the first reading, so I'm not going to pull one for the other reads, but I think my energy be willing, I'll pull some divine conversation cards at the end as more of like a general collective thing, right? For everybody. And we'll just see where that goes. Okay. Good shuffle on these cards. And then we're going to move into secret codename Justice for Julia. Timestamp. Okay. So secret codename Justice for Julia. It was so interesting because I heard it clear as day. I didn't know what the fuck it was. So I Googled it. Ended up on the Facebook page because Justice for Julia is a real thing. And went down a bit of a rabbit hole with it. So if you were guided to the secret code name, Justice for Julia, or this is your secret code name, do some deep digging. Do some deep digging with that one. Because the story is intense and there's lots of details that you might find synchronistic, metaphoric, or like hidden messages for you, right? Whatever stands out to you when you go down that rabbit hole. Justice for Julia. Okay. Spirit, please. What is the overall energy for this? Yeah, I hear you, Kristen. We got 2 more cards. Spirit's on a roll with these double cards. We got the Storm and the Eternal Child. Card 47 and card number 4. 474 might be a synchronicity that stands out for you, especially because your timestamp was 4047, which is fucking wild. That's wild. So starting with the Storm, really, 4s and 7s. The Storm. Keywords are the chaos, the whirlwind, the disorder. Possessing an energy much like the Tarot's Tower card, the Storm undoes all that is. Everything that was solid, known, and relied upon is stripped away by the winds of fate. The ground becomes the sky becomes the center, and then the center disappears. The Storm is a great equalizer. No matter how far we've come on the path, no matter our age, wealth, or wisdom, we can't hide from its savage winds. Their disturbing howls stir anxiety and make it impossible to see and think straight. You must wait it out. If you try to fight the storm, you will lose. A better option is to seek temporary shelter and a reliable friend. When all else fails, go within. There, for a moment, you settle into the eye of the storm. When light, it is meaningful obliteration and annihilation. When dark, it is meaningless disorder and dysfunction. If you'd like to go deeper, go and look at the tornado scene in The Wizard of Oz, or Rilke's The Man Watching. The storm lays bare the truth that there are forces larger than you. This understanding is a relief, but also a predicament of power that requires your surrender. The storm's intention is to rebalance your equilibrium. It is a result of precarious conditions, not the cause of them. The storm. What's crazy is I know whose secret code name this is, and I know this is like a full moon in Pisces, which the sun and south node in Virgo, they're Virgo. So I'm not surprised. The storm card came through because it's a major erasing, right? South node with the sun. Mercury is there. It's a major erasing. And it can feel crazy. It can feel crazy. So my heart is with you, and God knows my PM is open. My PM is open. It is there for you if you need it. On a real note, because I get it. I can get it. Second card is the eternal child. The inner child, or the child of joy. The eternal child is connected to the timeless, ageless, and infinite aspects of life. It is radiant and fearless and seeks joy above all else and at any cost. It struggles being bound to an aging body with physical limitations in a world that demands attention to detail and logistics. The eternal child wants to nix all the rules and responsibilities and go beyond what others say is possible. It wants to return with plenty of friends to the land of the free, where divine wine and creativity pour from the earth and sky. We all want to sip from the well of eternal youth, and this makes the eternal child naturally popular, perhaps even famous. The eternal child glimmers. It reminds us of what is possible, what is magical about this precious life. When light, it is joyful, playful, accepts all, and magic. When dark, it is addicted, selfish, adrift, and burns out. If you'd like to go deeper, you can get into Icarus, Peter Pan, or Rumi's Has Anyone Seen the Boy? Celebrity culture is based heavily on this archetype, as is the phrase live hard, die young, and the series of artists and musicians who died at 27. This archetype is so spirited that when its appetite for life isn't satiated, it seeks spirits and substance elsewhere. The eternal child struggles with addictions of all varieties. Whatever is keeping you from the eternal child energy, whatever darkness or shadow that you've connected yourself to, whether it is very mundane or more spiritual, right within the self, the storm is clearing it out. The storm is clearing it out so that you can get back to that energy. So for as crazy as the storm's going to feel, and it might, trust and believe and know that whatever is being removed, whether it's something outside of yourself or something within yourself, something about yourself, no matter what it is, it's meant to go. It's meant to go. It is time. It is time. And you might need to find that quote unquote temporary shelter somewhere where your inner child is safe, right? Where your inner child is safe as the outer experience deals with the destruction, right? The meaningful destruction of the storm. Spirit, let's get some insight. It's actually really fitting for the secret code name, right? Justice for Julia. It's actually pretty fitting. What is going on? What is going on? Insight, please. We have the Father of Cups reversed, the Eight of Swords, the World, and the Son of Pentacles with the Ten of Cups and the Son of Cups. Take it a layer further, please. The Ace of Wands, the Ace of Swords with the Son of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles. Triple aces in the bottom row. All right. Bottom of the deck is the Fool. Top of the deck is the Six of Swords. Okay, so you're moving forward. You just have no clue where yet. The Fool card on the bottom, you have no idea where you're ending up. All you know is you're going to move forward. There's a rainbow at the end, but you're moving forward and you have no idea where Spirit's taking you. You're about to go on a ride. Okay, so full anticipation of chaos and unpredictability. Spirit's going to take you on a ride. You'll figure out things along the way. With the Father of Cups in reverse, with the Son of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. I feel, because the Father of Cups is emotionally intelligent, right? And more stoic, more reserved in how the emotions are expressed, right? The difference between a King of Cups upright and a King of Cups reverse. The King of Cups upright can be sad or upset, but deal with it in a very stoic manner, where that sadness is, in fact, expressed, but in a very mature way. It's not taken personal. It's accepting that the outer experience that's causing the sadness has to have that communication, right, where the unhappiness is expressed in a very mature way. A King of Cups in the reverse is sad and is fucking crying. And it's crying and it's taking things personal and it's blaming others for why you feel sad. Where the King of Cups upright is like, okay, I'm sad and I have to accept responsibility for it, right? That I'm sad for a reason. And it's because my best choices got me here, right? That's the difference between a King of Cups in the reverse and a King of Cups upright. So when we have the King of Cups in the reverse with the Son of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands, you might be feeling quite emotional sometimes. And I'm hearing, especially behind closed doors, you might be quite emotional sometimes when things are taking way longer than you anticipated or expected or hoped for. And you really want this new beginning. You really want this new foundation. You really want this kind of ignition with life, right? You want to get back to this eternal child kind of joy energy. And there's just so much in the way. It's taking up so much time. And I think the reason for that is because you don't necessarily or haven't yet connected the dots, and that it hasn't manifested because you haven't chosen it. Right? You're blaming things in the outer experience for why you're not experiencing the eternal child. And yet it has nothing to do with the outer experience. It has everything to do with you and your attachment to it, right? The inability to just simply embrace the eternal child within the self that says, fuck it. I want to go live my life. Fuck it. Right? Fuck the rules. Fuck the responsibilities. I just want to live my life. My life. Right? In this place of joy. With the Eight of Swords and the Ten of Cups, with the Ace of Swords and the Son of Wands. You are all kinds of caught up in your head about happiness and fulfillment and the truth that you just need to take off. That you just need to take off. That Knight of Wands, right? The Son of Wands is the Knight of Wands. The truth is, you just want to fucking dip. You want to be selfish, right? What is deemed selfish. You want the emotional fulfillment. Whatever you're dealing with right now, it's not satisfying. Emotionally, it's not satisfying. Meaning you might be loving other people, but are you really genuinely getting love back? The 10 of Cups is the love that we receive when we feel fulfilled, right? Feeling loved and feeling filled with love. Well, you can either fill yourself or you can be around people that fill you. And sometimes the two go hand in hand, right? I feel like you're having a real mental block on your ability to receive happiness and your ability to respectfully say, fuck this, right? The World card with the Son of Cups and the Ace of Cups is about ending a cycle. Like, I love you, but I need a fresh start. I need this new beginning, right? The cut tree stump. It's like letting go of something that's been growing for years because you just need to love yourself. Oh, thanks, Kristen. Thanks. I appreciate that. I felt pretty today. I said the other day on Facebook, I swear I'm aging backwards, which it might be fitting for this inner child reading, right? This eternal child energy. I feel like we're aging backwards, but that's what joy will do, right? That's what peace will do. That's what will happen when you release anxiety and the pressure to perform an adult for everybody else all the time. Sometimes you just need to move forward into the unknown and say, fuck it, right? Fuck it. And I think that's important. The big challenge for you, the X of the read, is feeling like you're heartless, right? The Father of Cups reversed with the 10 of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles, feeling like you're heartless for wanting the new beginning. The other challenge for you is going to be embracing the closure and opening up to the 10 of Cups with the Ace of Wands and feeling ignited, feeling lit, feeling alive, right? Feeling alive, knowing that you left what you left behind and not feeling guilty, right? That you closed that door. The beauty of this, being trapped in the mind, right? Being trapped in the very slow pace really gets you in touch with what it is you truly want to feel. And it helps you express those emotions that you don't want to feel when you're trapped inside your mind, right? Feeling like you don't have a solution. And it allows you to look at the conversations that you're having from that place of love and saying, hey, instead of choosing these things where, you know, you're communicating from a place of love to others, why don't you accept that you're having that conversation with the self? Right? When you are asking other people for help, or you're asking other people to hold compassion for you, to help you, you are needing to take your own best advice, right? If you're asking for help from others, and you need to help yourself. You need to help yourself, you know? And I think that truth, understanding that truth in the mirror, is going to be what really helps spark that new you that you need. The you that is tired, so tired of obligation and restriction, that you will never let yourself be put in a situation where you are obligated or beholden to anybody else again. You know, the storm. I hope that helps. Secret code name Justice for Julia. We're going to get into secret code name Flamingo next. Okay. Quick shuffle. And then we'll time stamp. For a secret code name Flamingo. Okay. Here we go. Spirit, please. What is the overall energy for secret code name Flamingo? Oh, I'm hearing there's another one. Okay. Spirit apparently wanted 2 cards for these archetypes. Okay. We got 3. The crone, the vessel, and the empty room. Cards 13, 69, and 42. The crone. Card number 13. The crone is the witch, the old woman, the sage. The crone has seen it all. Nothing frightens or surprises her. She is the final manifestation in the feminine trifecta of Maiden Mother Crone. In her long life, she's witnessed endless cycles of death, sex, failure, rebirth, conflict, and regeneration, giving her the ability to rise above the world of duality. She laughs at notions of good or bad, right or wrong, as she has seen the earth churning, smoldering, taking life and giving life. The crone energy accepts everything in devouring beauty and suffering with the same mouth, using their energy to reveal hidden secrets and knowledge. Her energy resides in all of us, though it is feared by most for its power and unconventional relationship with death and the macabre. Awakening the crone is dangerously rich and unapologetically magic. When light. The crone is magic, clairvoyant, psychic, intuitive, and wise. When dark, it is vindictive, bitter, isolated, and ostracized. If you'd like to go deeper, look in to Dhumavati, Hecate, Baba Yaga, and Lilith. The crone is the master of letting go and residing in what is. She rejects nothing. The crone is often seen with the crow, smoke, night, and the moon. The crone has a difficult time tolerating superficial, petty, day-to-day musings. She moves away from such relationships and seeks a deeper path, even if it means a more solitary life. The crone, right, would rather be around deep energy, highly spiritual or psychic energy, as opposed to dealing with very surface relationships, very surface, mundane tasks and jobs. The crone is fucking magic. The crone is magic. And it's not about good or bad or right or wrong. It's about resonance, right? Being all about the intuition, being clairvoyant, intuitive, right? That magic of the self. It recognizes that people create all of their own karma. And the reason why the crone has none is because the crone understands resonation. It understands that yin-yang duality, that is not right or wrong. It's about harmony, right? Inner harmony. And they would rather be solitary or around select few than be around a bunch of meaningless people, right? Meaningless relationships. The vessel, card number 69. The vessel is the body, the container, the cup. The vessel may be the most powerful archetypal form on earth. It is everywhere. Cups hold liquid, stoves hold fire, our bodies hold organs, our homes hold families. Through the simple act of separation, the vessel protects what it contains. Nests protect the eggs. Savings accounts protect our earnings. Even the planets are contained within their circular orbit. When this card appears, it is time to assess what is being held together and how. Is the vessel too tight, too loose, broken, empty, full, or perhaps there is no vessel at all and the contents spill in every direction? It is natural for structures to be formed and eventually fall apart. The vessel has a life cycle that must be honored. Is it time for you to build, break, or repair? You must find out. When light, it is stable, strong, and graceful. When dark, it is trapped and being in a bubble. If you'd like to go deeper into the energy of this card, listen to Loving Cup by the Rolling Stones. The mentor and the healer must pay particular attention to this archetypal form. Healing cannot be sustained without a strong container. The physical body is the most sacred vessel of all. It is the one in which you reside from your first breath to your last, and it may need your attention. The vessel and the empty room. Card 42. The vortex, the abyss, the nothing. The empty room haunts us all. It is the universal and all too frequent feeling of lack, of wanting, of the craving to fill ourselves with something, anything. We too often attempt to remedy the discomfort of the empty room by any means necessary, leading us to a culture of more. Ironically, the empty room is filled to the brim with potential, yet we perceive it as not enough. This card is a cry for patience, for sitting within the barren walls of not knowing, for awaiting true vision and purpose before attaching to what we should do next to save our outward appearance. Be with the nothingness. Be with the impatience. The empty room has immense power. Let others wonder what you are doing. If you can settle in to the magic of emptiness, you will soon hear its whispers of wisdom. When light, it is spaciousness, potential, and possibility. When dark, it is addiction, insatiability, and more for more's sake. If you'd like to go deeper, look into John Cage's 4'3", 33 inches. A day of silence is a surefire way to harness the power of the empty room. The archetype of the empty room is also portrayed as the hungry ghost, always feeding and never satisfied. Looking at these three cards, right? The crone, the vessel, and the empty room. This is about the wisdom that we gain when we hold energy, whether it's the energy of a place, the energy of a person, the energy of a memory, the energy of an experience, the energy of someone else, like why we keep certain other energy, right? Why are we holding it, right? The vessel is asking, why are we holding it? Is it because we're holding it for the sake of holding it, right? For more's sake? More for more's sake? Or is it because it's truly beneficial and sacred for us to protect it, right? Why are we holding on to certain things? can we empty out all the stuff we're holding and find the value in the nothing? In that maybe what we were carrying was so heavy or poisonous to ourselves, and that it feels better to be empty, right? To disconnect and be empty. Insight into this, please, Spirit. For secret code name Flamingo and those who were guided to in divine time. What do we need to see and understand about this energy? What do we need to see and understand about this energy? We have the Six of Wands, the Two of Wands, and the Four of Wands. Take it a layer deeper for me, please. We have the Seven of Cups reversed, the Two of Cups reversed, and the Fool. And take it one layer further. Let's get even deeper, please. We have the Hermit, the Ace of Pentacles reversed, and the Mother of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Cups. Top of the deck is the Father of Cups. Okay. The Six of Wands with the Seven of Cups reversed and the Hermit is actually, I love the way this card is drawn. When we release certain sacred soulmates, right, the Six Cups that are in reverse, the one cup in the center upright with the sun on top of the card, right, when it's in reverse like this. The victory is in the self and loving the self, even if it is on your own, right? The Hermit, where you're protecting yourself, right? Being inside your own shell because your shell protects you, right? The container of the tortoise is the shell. The victory in shining for yourself as opposed to shining for other people. The Two of Wands with the Two of Cups reversed and the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Sometimes we find ourselves at such a crossroads on the path with soulmates we've let go of, right? Beginnings that never really took off. Or the solid foundations that had to reset, where you had to go back to basics or release a person that you were really close to. Because the new beginning wants to start. You might be at a point with this full moon energy where you do have to release someone because the start that you want isn't taking shape. We have the Four of Wands with the Fool and the Mother of Swords. This energy is all about confidence in the vision, right? Confidence in the vision. Even if you don't know how you're going to get or how you're going to manifest what you're visualizing, which is what the Four of Wands is. It's all about the high manifestation, right? The happily ever after manifestation that we visualize. We don't necessarily know how we're going to get it. But if we can trust and take that leap, right, and not be afraid of failing, that Spirit would guide us with the Fool before our wings are ready, we can see how the little baby bird morphs into the Mother of Swords, right? This gorgeous owl energy, wise, wise. We visualize certain things and want certain things and chase after certain things because we want to gain some kind of real wisdom from it. And we don't necessarily realize that's why we want it so much at the time. Why you've wanted empty dynamics, right? It's because you were learning how to walk away from things that are emotionally unfulfilling, right? Learning emotional intelligence, not being reactive to other people and their emotional or feminine, right? Divine feminine shortcomings. Their cups, right, are broken at the bottom. What is unfulfilling? We're talking about the vessel. The cups are broken. And I think that you're really gaining revelation, right? There's the Mother of Cups underneath that with the Eight of Wands, right? I'm being nosy, peeking on the bottom of the deck. You're getting revelations about how you desire to be loved and how you can very maturely address what you deserve and not feel bad about it. When you start letting go of certain soulmates, the crone is wise. There is no good or bad. You know, you're not a good girl or a bad girl, you know, or a good boy or a bad boy. You're not doing right or doing wrong because someone else says so. You're doing what resonates, and it is what it is. That is the magic of the crone, right? That is the brilliance of the crone, where you know intuitively what needs to be done, what would feel good to finally be rid of with a certain soulmate, and know that it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, whether it's right or wrong or good or bad, but you're doing it because it resonates. And because when you align yourself with that, the emptying of the room, to be inside the peace that it brings, to protect what you want to hold, what feels good to hold inside your energy, and let go of the rest. You know what I mean? The big challenge or the X inside this spread is accepting that it is a victory to cut off people who don't give a shit about you, who don't care about you, and it's all logic, reason, or responsibility, duty, or obligation, or there is a realistic, real world reason why they are connected with you. The other challenge is, you know, the happily ever after vision with a soulmate needing to be released and moving on from them because they didn't elevate or evolve. They didn't grow. They didn't shift. The value of this read, right? The value of this transit for you is that the path of self-love and faith in the unknown is going to allow you to release certain dynamics that you have outgrown, certain foundations that you've outgrown, that you don't need to be in those mirrors healing anymore because you've healed and evolved out of the mirror, right? The people in our lives that put us in a state of pain, whatever form that pain takes, when it's got to go, it's got to go, you know, it's got to go. We can't sit and hold on to the pain forever because we're afraid of offending somebody or because someone else might not like it. Well, how could you do that? You know, because, you know, they hold this label or this title or this role, and you're looking at it from the crone's perspective, like they're just a mirror. They're just a mirror. Like, if you're going to love me less because I'm loving myself, then you can find your way out with them. Respectfully, of course. You know? If you're going to love me less because I'm choosing to love myself, then you can find your way out. Respectfully. People who would get offended at what you need to do to love yourself tell you you're a bad person. No, there is no such thing as good or bad. You're either a resonating with spirit person or you're resonating with ego. And one feels a whole lot better than the other, right? One manifests a lot better results than the other. So I hope that helps. Secret code name Flamingo. All right. Get a good shuffle on these. And we're going to get into secret code name TransExpress. Timestamp. Secret code name TransExpress. Spirit, please. What is the overall energy for the secret code name and those who are drawn to it in divine time? Spirit said more. Okay. Oh, we got the empty room. It came out clearly in the reverse. All right, I'm going to put that off to the side. We got the orphan and the kiss. Now, the empty room, if you caught the last secret code name, right, with Flamingo, it was talking about the need to respect empty and what it's like to empty out the more just for more's sake. So with it coming out in reverse for you, like it was clear in reverse, I feel like you've already learned this lesson, or you've already learned the value of being empty, right? Where we eliminate certain things, certain people, certain stuff, because it was just taking up space and muddling up the energy, right? Which leads us to what we're addressing. The orphan and the kiss. Card number 5 and card number 40. Card number 60, forgive me, 5 and 60. Roman numerals. Okay. So for the orphan, the wounded child, the abandoned, the beggar. To study the orphan is to study the deep and challenging energy of our time. We are never more connected, yet face collective isolation. The refugee crisis haunts our planet. Children are separated from parents, and the earth begs for our attention. We are in a time of universal orphanage of nature, of each other, of our own hearts. Take refuge in the fact that we all share this core wound and dilemma. It is normal to fear this card as it haunts the caverns of our soul. When it appears, take time, real time, to be in the presence of the feelings of this card stirs in you. Let it humble you. What are you starving for? What is the deepest gift you could imagine giving to others? What has been rejected is quite possibly what is needed most, dear one. When light, it is deep solace, deep acceptance, and deep love. When dark, it is distance, it hates and avoids. It's controlling and limiting. If you'd like to go deeper into the meaning of this card, you can look into Mary Oliver's The Kitten. Tenderness beyond tenderness is required. Imagine holding yourself in your hands. To recognize that each one of us fears rejection and isolation is to take one step toward the orphan. More kindness always. Access this archetype through creative acts like drawing, painting, or writing. Keep it simple. Ask the orphan what it wants to draw, make, or say. Really. It's about that deep core wound of rejecting the self. Feeling separate. Feeling like no one understands. The way you love might really, like when you love another to the best of your ability, when you give them that gift of love, it becomes really clear and obvious what it is that you desire to receive from other people. And when you don't receive that energy back from other people, that energy that you so need, and the reason why you love others that way and give it to others that way is because you always wanted to be loved that way and never got it, and you know what it's like to be without it. How can you love yourself in that way so that you don't feel the need to isolate or the pangs of being abandoned or rejected because you can give it to yourself and you don't need someone else to do that for you, right? The Kiss, card number 60. The touch, the chemistry, the sex. Before a first kiss, the air is electrified. Each breath is alive with possibility and magic. What will their lips be like? Their tongue? Do they want me in return? The archetypal energy of the kiss is a heightened sensation of merging with another, of letting in what was moments ago separate. Two become one. It is risky, but beautiful business. These moments forever change us as we move past the solitary self toward union and acceptance. This card suggests true intimacy is around the corner, which requires bravery and surrender. When the kiss takes a non-human form, it can be experienced as touching the sacred, hearing a whisper, or being graced by a divine being. You will recognize the presence of the kiss by cold chills and an awakening of the heart. When light, it is sensual expressiveness, merging and inviting. When dark, it is neediness, pressure, dominance, and disrespectful. If you'd like to go deeper into the meaning of this card, you can look into Andy Warhol's 1963 film, Kiss. Intimacy is multi-layered and requires our reflection. Revisit what you consider to be sensual, taboo, acceptable, or shameful. Write down the story of your first kiss. What was changed in that moment? It's interesting. With these two cards tied together, it almost feels like when you get that electrifying connection with someone else, you already know it's over before it starts. That it's like a hidden moon, right? Like this partial eclipse kind of energy with the sun and the moon. Like who you are gets eclipsed out. And it might be because of the hidden fear that the orphan brings, right? That fear of rejected energy, that fear of not being worthy of the love you give. And it expresses, or used to express itself, in that kind of needy, almost desperate attempt to control the relationship and keep it going, right? The fear of being orphaned, the fear of being alone. I think you have successfully emptied out the people who originally may have triggered those feelings right within you. But I feel with this energy, there's a kind of fear of it happening again, and wondering if, you know, who you're connecting with is someone worth protecting, or if they're just taking up space. You know, if they're just taking up space in your life and are only going to repeat a cycle where you feel abandoned or unworthy. And I think if you can learn to love yourself and not seek that energy in someone else, that you will, in fact, be able to experience that beautiful kind of electricity, right? Where the souls kind of interact with each other, and not be afraid of it becoming a lesson, right? Not being afraid of it becoming a lesson. What insight, please? What insight, please? For secret code name, TransExpress. That was the Mother of Wands that just flipped up and back in. We've got the 10 of Cups, the 10 of Swords, and the 8 of Wands, clarified by the High Priestess, the 2 of Cups, and Temperance. Take it one more layer deeper, please. We got the Death card, the Sun. You got a lot of major arcana out here. And the 4 of Cups. Bottom of the deck is the 5 of Wands. Top of the deck is the Lovers. Our beautiful mirrors. Okay. With the Lovers and the 5 of Wands, I think you deal with a real inner conflict about mirrors, especially when they are love related. A real conflict with mirrors. People in the outer experience, right? Who would attempt to take on that role. It unsettles you, right? That 5 of Wands is the eternal conflict. You're the Father of Swords. Like, I will cut a bitch. It doesn't take a whole lot of energy to get you there. Like the effort, putting in the effort towards the 10 of Pentacles, you have to be able to see some kind of potential worth going after, that you would sacrifice your sovereignty, because you've already been burned. You've already been hurt. You've already moved on from things that are unfulfilling, and took that leap of faith on changing your fate, even if it meant eclipsing out everything you defined yourself as previously, because justice had to be had, right? You had a wish that you wanted fulfilled, and it wasn't being fulfilled. The 10 of Cups with the High Priestess and the Death card. You know and intuit that emotional fulfillment is something that is meant for you, and it comes with great transformation, right? You are highly intuitive, super deep High Priestess with the Death card, Piscean energy, Scorpionic energy. 10 of Cups is Jupiter in Pisces energy. You know that you are meant for emotional fullness. You also know that that is coming to you in a different way. It might not come to you in the same way as it comes to other people, and it might come in a certain way first before it comes to you in a different way. I think you have had soulmates, right? With this 10 of Swords and the 2 of Cups with the Sun. Betray you, right? The 10 of Swords is the betrayal of the 2 of Cups because their ego got in the way, where they were doing things or choosing things without listening to their own intuition because they were choosing from a fear state. And in your mirror, right, you were involved with them in the same way because of the same reason. You weren't necessarily listening to your intuition. You were choosing from a fear state, which was the fear of being alone, right? The fear of being unworthy and wanting someone to validate that worth. The 8 of Wands with Temperance and the 4 of Cups. It's a divine reminder with the 8 of Wands, right? This connection that Spirit has to us where we get these intuitive downloads, these pings, these synchronicities to alchemize and get rid of the rats, right? The theoretical mice in our mirrors where they make a mess of our energy and we have to exterminate them. Spirit pings you with red flags when something's off. You are super intuitive. If you can trust the pings when you get the first red flag, that the barrier needs to go up in a healthy way, you know? Like the empty room being in the reverse is what matters, what deserves time and space inside this world with me. If you can accept and trust your intuition, which is your strength, right? It is in a strength position within this reading. You won't have to go through these cycles of feeling unloved because you're loving yourself with a capital S, yourself, spirit, capital S, right? That intuition that you have, that strong intuition that you have is the voice of spirit, God, source, creator, whatever you call it, within yourself. That is your direct connection to the divine. That intuitive voice is the divine, and it never steers us wrong. So if you can just simply trust that voice within, to love the self that way, to know that you will not abandon the self, capital S, self, highest self, that you will always heed and listen to that divine voice, you will have no problem keeping the mice out. Right? These energetic mice people that just steal all your best energy and make a mess, spread their dis-ease that it ripples onto you and you become uncomfortable in your own reality. Trusting spirit is your way through. And so long as no one is setting off red flags, let them continue to be close. If you get to feel the electricity in a kiss, great. Remind yourself, even after the kiss is over, you're going to keep listening to your intuition. Because just because there wasn't a red flag up to one point doesn't mean there's not one later. Red flag, big or small. If something doesn't sit right, address it. If you don't like the way it results after you've addressed it, contemplate whether or not you need to empty the room. Contemplate whether or not you need to empty the room. The biggest challenge, or the X in the spread, with this energy, this transit for you, is going to be accepting that some soulmates are going to bring such beautiful energy and end up being mice. That fear, right? that you would have to accept that you have a serious fear of being emotionally fulfilled with soulmates and being afraid that they're just thieving dirty shadow energy that are going to disappoint you. And the challenge of transforming yourself when it comes to other soulmates by listening to your intuition 100% of the time and not arguing inside your mind with spirit. The beauty or the value of this spread, right? The diamond in the reading is that every time you betray yourself, you realize what red flag you missed or what red flag you ignored, right? The self-betrayal, the 10 of swords is at the top of the diamond. You recognize how you betrayed your intuition, high priestess, what you need to do to alchemize that error, temperance, so that you can truly shine, the sun, right? That makes up the diamond of your spread. Every time you betray yourself, you get a little bit better at listening to spirit. Every time you sabotage yourself by not heeding your intuition somewhere along the road, you learn, right? You see it in hindsight and you're like, yeah, that was the red flag, that ping that I got, right? That intuitive ping that I got that I ignored because I needed to transform. I needed to strengthen that connection just a little bit more. And you'll go into the next soulmate or the next cycle feeling a lot better about it. Because now you've got one more example of how you missed it last time. You know, you're working through this process of what feels like divine perfection, right? Coming into this place of harmony with yourself and being able to use those high mirrors, right? With the Lover's card on top, those high mirrors in our reality to really fine tune your inner wisdom, right? And to manifest from that inner wisdom, because by the time it's all said and done, you will have never settled for less than was truly worthy of you. And I think that is the greatest gift. I think that is the greatest gift, right? Diamonds are formed under immense pressure, lots of heat. And I think that your true value, what you end up manifesting as you continue to fine tune this ability, is going to be incredible. I really do. So don't be afraid. Go into it knowing that you're going to trust yourself and learn how to trust yourself more. There's no reason to be afraid. Some red flags will be crystal clear. Other red flags you might not see for a few years. You know, like I just let go of a best friend that I had for almost a decade. And the red flags were there, but they were very subtle. Some of them weren't so subtle, but I ignored them and wrote them off and excused them nonetheless. And I know better now. I know better now, right? That's what we're here for, is what we learn. All right. Moving on. Secret code name, Lichen and Lich. Lichen and Lich. Let's get a timestamp. Okay. Awesome. Secret codename Lichen and Lich. It was interesting because I heard the word lichen, like the weird plant slash, it's in a category all of its own. It's not a plant, it's not a fungus, it's not an animal, but it's kind of sort of a little bit of all three. Lichen. It's ancient, right? It's been around longer than most of the things on this earth. And Lich, which is that like undead wizard, undead sorcerer kind of energy. And Lichen, for the most part, is very healing. So I thought it was interesting to get them both, especially because Lich is within the word Lichen. But they are very different. Very different, and yet etymologically connected. I would Google it. I would look into it, right? The etymology or the root of the word with lich, what it means. All right. Spirit, please. What is the overall energy or theme? We got the thread and the mountain. The thread and the mountain. Card number 70 and card number 33. Card number 70 and card number 33. Let's pull this up for you. The thread. The path. The vein. The circuit. Life is a tangle. So much happens simultaneously and circuitously, leaving us grappling for meaning and direction in a network of distractions. When we connect to the energy of the thread, however, we strike the deepest vein in the body. Our whole being responds to its tug. Meaning is pumped through our bloodstream. Our mind and spirits are lifted. We remember who we are and what we came into this world to do. Though this happens on the most profound level, it could be the simplest incident that activates the thread. A song, an image, a conversation heard in passing. No matter how confusing and multi-layered our modern lives become, if we are connected to the thread, we are free. Being tethered to it is the only anchor our heart requires. When light, it is the circuit of meaning within chaos. When it is dark, it is binding, frustrating, and taut. If you'd like to go deeper, look into the sculptures of Eva Hesse. Recall a moment in your life when you felt fully alive. The thread is waiting for you amid the details of that memory. You may think you have to find the thread and pull it. Imagine, though, that it's already tied around you, waiting for you to follow it home. It is the path in which life force flows, right, where we feel alive. The thread is kind of like our connection to spiritual purpose, right? If you think about it, it helps us get out of feeling pulled or stretched too thin. It gets us out of feeling restricted by life. It puts us in the high-speed flow. The mountain. Card number 33. The ascent, the peak, the insurmountable. The mountain stands eternally in our awareness, calling us toward its peak. It stirs up stoic and regal feelings, reminding us of the long line of spirits, sages, sadhus, and gods that made their humble throne within its snowy peaks. Beware, though, as the mountain can affect us in two ways. It can inspire and enliven us to rise to new heights and peak experience, yet it can also create isolation, competitiveness, and an inflated sense of self. Standing upon its heights can activate the purist and the perfectionist in us. The purist and the perfectionist in us, creating separation from those we deem to be, quote unquote, below. No matter how high you ascend, remember that it is within the core of the mountain that the gems, minerals, and jewels reside. If you think it's all about going up, you're following the fool's path and missing the inner magic. When light, it is grounded in the eternal, steadfast, and uplifting. When dark, it is ominous, daunting, isolating, and frigid. To go deeper into the meaning of this card, you can look into Mary Oliver's The Poet Dreams of the Mountain. Contemplate Joseph Campbell's suggestion. You are the central mountain, and the central mountain is everywhere. Research mountains. Find one that strikes you and stare at it for a while. Where is it? The pilgrim may be awakening in you. The summit calls. These two energies. The path is not about reaching the peak, even though the view from up there is quite amazing. You won't get the view anywhere else that you would get from the top. But the value is inside. It's inside the depths. It's inside the dark. It's inside the undiscovered. It's navigating through the fear and bringing nothing but your light. You know? The path is not about reaching great heights and being all alone. It's about finding the value in everything in between ground level and the peak. There is so much that the mountain holds. And the path is not about being better than anybody else or rising higher than anybody else. It's what you get to take. It's what you get to take with you. It's what you get to take with you on the climb back down. You know, if you think about it, the person that makes their way through the mountain gets to the other side faster than the person who climbs all the way up to the top and then has to climb all the way back down. The mountain path through is much shorter to get to the same place. Yeah, did you miss the view? Maybe. But did you leave with the gems? Yeah. And you still do get to see what's on the other side of the mountain. Even if it's not from all the way up there, you still get to see what's on the other side. So is it really a loss? You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the one at the tippy top. But you can be the one that gets the most value from your path, right? Your unique and authentic path. Let's see what this means, right? Let's get some insight into this for you. Secret code name, Lichen and Lich. What insight, please, Spirit? What do we need to see and understand? We got Temperance, first card out. We got the Star card, the Ten of Swords. Clarities, please. The Devil. What else? Four of Coins reversed. Ace of Wands. The Lovers. The Chariot. Lots of major arcana. And the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. Bottom of the deck is the Two of Cups. Top of the deck is the Hermit. Okay. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm hearing divinely protected as you go through the caves. You're never alone. Your soulmates are the spiders on the walls, weaving out the value of your transformation. Interesting. 3 major arcana. Temperance, clarified by the devil, clarified by the lovers, which in and of itself is quite dualistic, right? Because the lovers card is number 6, the devil is number 15, which breaks down to a 6. And these cards in Rider-Waite mirror each other. And this is the alchemization process that's happening with temperance. Temperance is an alchemist. It's where we take our attachments, the things and the people and the situations or the behaviors, the facets of ourselves that are toxic, and start to choose differently, where we don't mind putting the feet to the fire, so to speak, with the attachment and letting it burn. Letting it burn. Sometimes the attachment, whether it's an attachment to a belief system, an attachment to a way we identify ourselves, who we are, an attachment to the labels, right, that we hold, that we put on others even. And of course, you know, attachments to toxicity and substances and other addictions and things like that that the devil can represent. I feel that with this transit, this full moon in Pisces, you're really learning how to use your fear as an indicator on what it is you need to let go of. Whatever the fear is attached to, it's what needs to be overridden, right? That you can move forward from it and intuit what needs to be done and not let fear cause hesitation. The Star with the 4 of coins in the reverse and the Chariot. This is a beautiful healing energy. Beautiful healing energy. It's a divine wish within the self being granted, where you and the actions that you're choosing and letting go help the divine move you forward, right? Divine intervention, divine momentum, divine shift, right? Where the divine protects you in the healing, moving you forward. The wish being granted is not necessarily one that your human mind would have made, but it is one that your soul made. It was a promise that you made to yourself before you came into this life. A wish that you wanted as a soul to fulfill. You're releasing that which needs to be released, and the divine is moving you forward. Like, hallelujah. The 10 of Swords with the Ace of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. Triple ones, right? 10, 1, 10. Triple ones. Endings are simultaneously new beginnings, and the new beginnings are fucking fire. They're fucking fire. It's inspired. It's feeling alive. It's feeling joy. It's feeling like you're on that path, right? That thread path. Look at the way the wand is. And look at the way this card is. That pathway. The colors even. This is about fortune, fate, changing. Because self-betrayal was essentially lit on fire, where other people have abandoned their own selves following the path of fear. It's like lighting a match and seeing what lights. Seeing what goes up in flames, you know? And when and if you've abandoned yourself in the past, like when you're inspired to move forward, when you're inspired divinely to just change your life, whatever would have betrayed you moving forward burns. It would have betrayed you moving forward, would have caused you great discomfort. It would have kept you from that Ace of Wands feeling, that divine co-creative chemistry with spirit. I can't help but feeling like spirit's so fucking excited for you. because it really isn't about reaching the top. It's about reaching the value. It's about finding the value, finding the gems, finding those moments in life where it's wildly unknown and you feel like you're in the dark, and yet Spirit's revealing each and every gem to you as you continue to walk through with your soul light. I think the biggest challenge for you, the X of the reading, is feeling like you releasing soulmates, right? The Lovers with the 4 of coins reversed is a betrayal to them or yourself. That's one facet of the X, right? The other facet is being afraid that when you go through this alchemy process and let go, that things won't change. That things won't change. Or if they do change, it won't be for the better, right? That's the fear. Really having to hone in on that trust that you're doing the right thing, that you're not betraying anybody except yourself by not doing it, right? The value or the diamond of the read. You have the Star with the Devil and the Ace of Wands and the Chariot. Your healing, your soul wish, allows you to activate what is essentially the villain era, where you are pegged as the villain in someone else's story because you've been divinely moved forward. The divine inspired you forward. The divine moved you forward. So are you really a villain, or is it just their perception? And if it's just their perception in the mirror of things, if they would call you the villain, they would call you the bad guy, then isn't that what they are to themselves? Aren't they the thief of their own happiness? Aren't they the bad guy, being an ego and not being in that inner harmony? It's just a projection. It's not real. It's about getting really comfortable, right? The value is about getting really comfortable, being so bright in your ignition of self. When you throw that key in the ignition and the chariot takes off, being really okay with the fact that other people are going to project their shadows at you and that you know it has nothing to do with you. Being really comfortable in that. Secret code name, Lichen and Lich. Maybe you can be the bad guy and the healing at the same time, because that's what it is, right? All right. Get a good shuffle on these, and then we're going to move on to secret code name Fantasia. And whoever's drawn to it. Let's see. All right. Secret code name Fantasia. All right. Spirit, please. For secret code name Fantasia and those who are drawn to it, we got the Sword. Spirit's telling me there's another one. And the Vow. Interesting. The Sword and the Vow. Interesting, with all that black and yellow dualistic energy. Card number 52 or 62 and card number 54. All right. The Sword. The sword is the knife, the blade, the weapon. To use the sword is to decide. The blade separates one reality from another. The choice is made, and all else falls away. If you find the sword in your grasp, you can no longer hesitate. This weapon requires a clear and decisive mind and a willingness to act. An onlooker may think the sword bearer is hasty and violent, but the most compassionate and responsible gesture is one that is honest, swift, and accurate. Our first encounter with the sword is at birth, when the cord we share with the mother is cut. This moment defines our separation from her and begins our journey of becoming ourself. We must make these cuts again and again if we are to grow. Decisions shape our life, and the sword is an infamous shaper of destiny. When light, it is cutting through to what is essential. When dark, it is hasty, backstabbing, a dull and painful blade. If you'd like to go deeper into the meaning of this card, you can look into Mariana Abramovic's Rhythm series or Caravaggio's Judith beheading Holofernes. Boundary making, prioritizing, and clarifying are all gestures made possible by the sword. The sword is a metaphor for the pen and the brush, the artist's fierce and graceful tools. Contemplate the Buddhist philosophy of the first and second arrow. Swing the sword once with precision and commitment. More than that will be painful for everyone involved. How true. It is to decide. We talked about that during the cosmic currency today. We talked about it earlier this week in one of the live readings that I did. When you choose definitively, right? And the sword, right? If you think about it, even in the tarot cards, it's all about the mind, right? And the thoughts. Hey, Sherry, how you doing? Love you. It's all about the mind and the thoughts. And when we choose that something is definitively over, we have to make it quick. We have to make it firm and solid. We have to commit and let it be done. That is the most painless way. If you think about beheadings, right, back in the day with executioners and things like that, they would always ask a person to really elongate the neck and make it clear, and then they would commit to the swing fully, because if they faltered or if they got distracted or if they stopped mid-swing, right, it would be extremely painful for the person because they'd have to swing it again and they would be suffering. So when we decide to cut things off, whether it's people or situations, make the decision, stick to it, make it fast, make it happen, just do it. And don't allow yourself to get distracted because it just becomes more painful. It's better to just cut it off the first time and let it go. And if and when we're dealing with certain energies or people or places that we know we're guided to be in, but they have to go definitively, you can acknowledge that to Spirit and say, Spirit, this person has to go. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I trust that you will. Guide me the way I need to be guided in order to help best facilitate that result. This person has to go. What is the fastest, simplest, easiest way to get this person, situation, circumstance in and out? To be rid of it, right? The sword energy. Now the vow. Card number 54. The vow is the promise, the oath, the contract. When the vow is spoken, the air shifts. karmic ties are formed, and destiny tilts on its axis. Our words and intentions have immense power. There is a reason the great mythic stories of our past often include the recitation of oaths and the mixing of drops of blood as a mark of union. The tricky part is that reciting the vow, no matter how casually, activates the eternal and unseen forces of the world. The ancestors bear witness. The laws of nature respond. These promises cannot be unsaid or forgotten. So breaking them can leave lingering complexities and loose ends. This card calls us to acknowledge the vow we are living by, consciously or unconsciously, and either recommit to it or create a ritual that signifies its closure. You've been underestimating the power of your promises. When light, it is bearing witness to the shift towards destiny. When dark, unconscious vows, unkept promises, and messy karma. Go deeper. Learn the yamas, the 5 vows of the seeker. Think of the last promise you made. Was it to yourself or another? Has it been upheld or broken? Anytime the energy of the vow is present, we are in the archetypal realm of ceremony and ritual. That means time stands still and anything is possible. Wow. The sword with the vow is about breaking, letting go of, cutting loose the commitments that we've made from an egoic place and remembering and recommitting to the vows we made as a soul between us and spirit. If we are in messy karmic contracts that we feel we can't fucking get rid of, it's because we've committed to something against a vow we took in soul. That we're placing one vow over another vow, and one of them is way more serious than the other. And yet the other is the one that's being prioritized. We end up in these messy contracts with other people. Relationships that seem so good at first, and then they get so fucking toxic. You know, when we go through marriage and we take those vows, it's a ritual. When we get divorced, we sign those papers. It is also a ritual. It's no different. When we commit by giving someone a token of our love and making a promise, it doesn't matter what the vow is. If we dishonor it, it causes chaos. You know, when we take marriage vows and then someone cheats, it causes chaos because the vow was not honored. When we have these goals, these spiritual goals with ourselves, and we break it or we dishonor it with distractions and fear and ego and all of those things, right? Desire that's primal and not spiritual. When we dishonor it, life gets fucking crazy. Life gets fucking crazy. And sometimes we have to accept that we have a higher promise to keep than the one we made from a place of ego, right? From a place of ego, that our life gets crazy because we've betrayed ourselves. With that, let's get into the cards. Let's see. What insight, please, for secret code name Fantasia? And Fantasia, like from the Never-Ending Story. And if you remember the Never-Ending Story, the world was breaking apart. Everything in the world was disappearing. It was being kind of eaten by the nothing, right? The great nothing that was just destroying all of Fantasia and ripping it apart. And it all was saved because the boy, right, ended up giving the princess or the empress a name. He had to say her name. He had to give her a name. He had to believe, right? He had to believe in what was spiritual, what was beyond reason, beyond this world, right? He had his everyday life, his everyday world, his school, his parents, all of it. But he had to believe in something that was beyond his world to keep it from falling apart. It's our spiritual vow. We have to believe in our spiritual vow, or our life, our very mundane life, can feel like it's falling apart. Because our spiritual world is falling apart. When our spiritual world falls apart and we don't believe in it, we don't believe in that spiritual facet of the reality, just because it's not a part of our everyday tables, clothes, fucking e-cigs, you know what I mean? Like, just because it's not a part of our everyday and we can't see it doesn't make it not real. The spiritual is very real. Just because you can't see it doesn't make it real. When we don't believe in it because we don't see it, when our spiritual world starts to fall apart into the nothingness, our outer experience reflects that, and it becomes a whole bunch of fucking nothing, just eating away at the self. We have to believe in it. Right? We have to believe in our higher self. Give it a name even. Give it a name even. What does this look like, please, Spirit? Got the Two of Swords. The Nine of Coins. And the Three of Cups. Clarities, please. Three of Swords. Temperance. Five of Wands. Take it another layer deeper, please. We got the Seven of Wands in the reverse. The Star card, and the Four of Swords with the Tower. Bottom of the deck is the Father of Wands. Top of the deck is the Fool. Jumping into highest vision. Okay. The Two of Swords with the Three of Swords and the Seven of Wands. We find ourselves at these crossroads where the mind can't reason its way out of it because the feelings are what they are, right? The solar eclipse on the Two of Swords card. The feelings become overwhelming at the crossroads because we don't know what to choose, and we can't choose either direction because they both fucking suck, right? It's painful. It's painful, and we don't know what to choose. We don't know what to do, and we can't find a reasonable or logical way out of it because we were not defending the self spiritually, which is the Seven of Wands, right? It's the Seven of Wands. When we're not defending the self, pain ensues. When we find ourselves at this crossroads and are unable to make a choice. The Nine of Pentacles with Temperance and the Star. It's returning to sovereignty. When we're dealing with crossroads, especially with other people, the best way out is to separate our energy, to think clear for a minute, right? Sometimes it is about separating altogether and going our own way, following our own path. The Nine of Coins is sovereign, and alchemizing into our healing, right? When we reflect in hindsight off the journey that we were just on, where we ended up in the situation that just ended up being so stalemated and painful, where our thread, right, our highest good path was tangled up in pain. The Three of Cups with the Five of Wands and the Four of Swords and the Tower. Third-party energies that create inner conflict, right? Anytime we commit to third-party energies, no matter what that third party is, whether it's a person or an addiction, a behavior, right? Whatever the other energy is, when we commit to it and it creates this internal conflict, it's because we've disconnected from our mental state of rest and need the Tower. We need the Tower. If it is spiritually conflicting, right, and you're dealing with internal conflict, it is because your commitment to whomever that third party or that third energy is not in alignment with the value made to yourself, your highest self. Sometimes we need to take a step back and let everything fall that needs to fall. If it needs to fall apart, you got to let it fall apart because you made a higher commitment. You made a divine commitment, a spiritual commitment that trumps whatever mundane, ego-based vow you made. Because the ego is just the masculine yang of the self, right? It's just the yang that made a vow without consulting the feminine. But the vows that we make in soul, that is a vow that the yin and the yang made together. And that vow will always trump the ego's promises, will always trump the vows that we make to other people from a place of ego. Because the masculine's vow does not override and will never be more important than the one that the masculine and feminine made together. Never. If you're internally conflicted and if you're feeling pain and you don't know what the fuck to do, you first have to accept that you made a promise to yourself or someone that you can't keep because you have a higher promise to keep. You're going to have to take a leap of faith on that healing. You're going to have to take a leap of faith on that healing. We got a lot of lightning, right? We got lightning on this card. We got lightning on this card. We got lightning on this card. Triple lightning. Lots of revelation. Lots of revelation. Just because you can't see the spiritual world does not mean it doesn't exist. Just because you can't see the manifestation of your wholeness does not mean that the manifestation of your wholeness does not exist. It means the promises you made are in the way of it being made manifest for you. The challenge or the cross in the reading. The Two of Swords, Temperance, with the Four of Swords in the Tower. Feeling like if you just pause and sit at the crossroads long enough and deal with your feet to the fire, that everything will just magically change one day. And it'll just be better. Right? That these third-party energies, the Three of Cups with Temperance and the Seven of Wands and the reverse, that you won't have to defend yourself against these karmic ties anymore. That it'll just all magically fix one day. But if it's not in alignment with your highest vow, then it's not in alignment with your highest vow. It's not going to magically fix one day. In fact, it's going to get even more uncomfortable. Which is where the value in the reading comes from, right? When we're sovereign, we can look at the pain. We can look at that inner conflict that we had in hindsight and heal it, right? The 9 of coins with the 3 of swords and 5 of wands, and the star card creating the diamond in the spread. Being sovereign allows us to reflect on things that were wildly uncomfortable and heal back to our soul's wish. The star card is the soul's wish, where the 9 of cups is the egoic wish. The star card is the soul's wish. We get back in touch with what we really need as a soul, what we really wanted to accomplish in this life, what we vowed to ourself from a place of inner union, what it is that we wanted to experience, you know. So I hope that helps. Secret code name Fantasia. Believe in your higher self and your higher commitments, and that anything that doesn't feel good is just simply there to let you recognize how far you have strayed. The more uncomfortable it is, how far you've strayed from fulfilling your soul's promise to yourself. You can either let the tower fall, let the lightning strike, the revelations, and start to let it fall apart so that things can fall into place. Or you can reincarnate. Or you can reincarnate. Do all this fucking shit over again. Good luck. Good luck. Much love and support to you. Get a quick shuffle on these. We're going to do secret codename Leonidas next, then Balthazar, and then secret codename Archangel Haniel. All right. Timestamp, secret codename Leonidas. Secret codename Leonidas. And those who are drawn to it, Spirit, please. Ooh. We got the unseen and the comic. Card number 27 and card number 26. Interesting. The unseen and the comic. All right. The unseen. The spirit, the ancestor, the eternal. The unseen is just as it sounds. We cannot see it, yet it sees us, watching and waiting with wisdom, both in kind and instructive. We feel its presence, sense it, intuit it, and then doubt its existence. Though it rallies our attention time and time again, the energy of the unseen may come in many forms: a compelling dream, a sudden insight, a clear voice, a vision or message from a loved one who has passed to the other side. It is natural to fear these communications as they challenge our perception of what is real. But when this card appears, your guides are near. The eternal is present. The doorway between worlds is ajar. Listen. The sound may seem as though they come from a distant land, but they call from your innermost chambers. When light, it is clairvoyant, guidance, and whispers of wisdom. When dark, it is dark looming energy and an unwillingness to forgive. If you'd like to go deeper into the meaning of this card, look into King Hamlet, The Three Fates, and The Shining. The Shining. What a movie. Guidance comes in many forms. Don't expect it to be glittery or comfortable. The spirit world speaks the truth. Sometimes it soothes and sometimes it burns. Being graced by the unseen is a gift. Treat it kindly. Allow yourself to be seen by eternal eyes. We were just talking about this in the last read, right? Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. Just because we can't see spirit, just because we can't see God, just because we can't see what we're intuiting, just because we can't see our ancestors does not mean that the energy is not real. Just means you can't see it. That's all it means. Just means you can't see it. Just because you can't see radio waves doesn't mean that they don't exist. Just because you can't see the signal going to and from a tower to your phone or a satellite to your phone doesn't mean it's not real. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. There are things that exist. There is energy that exists that is beyond what is seen. That's what this card is about. The acknowledgement that there is things that we cannot see with our eyes that are very, very real. The comic. The Joker, the Clown, the Fool. The comic carries a remedy for all that ails this world. Amid the deepest pain and suffering, there is always the potential to lift up and out of the darkness through laughter. Though dismissed by some as lowbrow or unsophisticated, this archetype actually has a highly advanced mind. Some may use the word genius, as humor requires one to see the situation from afar rather than being swept away by the drama. The comic sees and accepts the messiness of life, using it as material to be mixed and shaped into a potion to soothe the stressed and serious mind. They literally lighten us up. Thus, within the comic is usually the sage or the magician, working healing magic upon any audience who will lend an ear. The comic may be the archetype that heals the deep division in our world, one pun at a time. When light, it is hilarious, ingenious, spirited, and easygoing. When dark, it is sarcastic, harsh, brooding, and drunk. If you'd like to go deeper, look at images of Laughing Buddha, watch stand-up or improv comedy. Joy, jokes, and smiles are signs of a happy heart. Be wary of spiritual practices or teachers who leave the comic by the wayside. The comic has plenty of shade to throw on others, and it can fall into shadow at the drop of a hat. Beware of their sharp claws. The thing about the unseen. The divine comedy and divine drama, right? The tragedy. There is something to learn in it. The unseen, when we start to tap into that energy, the spiritual self that we can't see, the divine presence of what karma really is, the laws, the 12 laws, the universal laws, and we start to understand how they work, when we start to accept what is spiritually real as a part of our very mundane 3D world and how they work together, you really will sit there and just start cracking up like, oh my God, I see it. Like I couldn't for the longest time get over the sadness that came along with being separated from my twin flame, right? Who I considered my twin flame. And then when I applied the wisdom, right? And saw the mirror for what it was, the mirror that exists, even though we can't see it. When I saw the mirror, I just fucking laughed because it was so, it was so so real. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and I just kind of laughed to myself. I just kind of laughed to myself. And I accepted it. And I accepted it. Like, wow. You know, like I was all upset and I was angry and sad and confused and all of the feelings until it hit me one day. And I just laughed, you know, I just started laughing. I was like, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for that. Like, I get it now. I see it now. Thank you. Thank you. I needed that. I needed that because if I didn't have that, you know, and I didn't have that divine discomfort that I was putting myself through, and I didn't have that beautiful, chaotic mirror, how the fuck would I have found myself? My capital S, higher, spiritual, in tune self. Like, thank you. Thank you for that process. You know, you really will laugh. You really will and can laugh after tragedy because it really is a comedy. You know, I was talking to Kristen and she was telling me, because she's got a new puppy, and she was telling me that, you know, sometimes he has accidents, you know, in the house. He's still learning how to go outside. You know, he's got certain things down, but he's still working on some things. And she was like, I wonder if that's how Spirit looks at us. Like we're just a puppy, like making mistakes and learning. But, you know, it's so cute and at the same time so frustrating, you know, like to look at it that way. That Spirit loves us no matter what, even if we're fumbling around and fucking up, because it knows one day we'll learn and we'll be the best, most well-behaved, divinely obedient student in our best light. And we will experience so much joy because the corrective process is over. It's just straight up reward and love and comfort, right? My ear just rang like crazy. What insight, please, Spirit? What insight, please? For secret code name, Leonidas. What do we need to know with this energy? We've got the Seven of Pentacles, the World card in the reverse. Something ain't over. The Father of Swords. The Ace of Swords reversed. The Four of Coin. The Fool. Take it a layer deeper. The Ten of Wands. The Devil. One more. Two more. The Five of Wands with the Nine of Wands. Bottom of the deck is the Nine of Swords. The top of the deck is the Mother of Swords. Okay. The Seven of Pentacles in the reverse with the Ace of Swords reverse and the Ten of Wands. When we're not making any progress, right? And we're waiting on fucking nothing. It's because we're not listening to the truth, and it's creating a whole lot of spiritual burden. It's creating spiritual heaviness. Leaves us feeling drained. It leaves us feeling fatigued. It leaves us feeling like we can't get enough rest and we can't get a fucking break, right? That no one's cutting us a break. And it's because we're not cutting ourselves a break, right? The comedy of it would have it. We're not cutting ourselves a break. We have people who lie to us in our reality because we're lying to ourselves. Things are not making progress because they can't. There was no progress to be made. Being on that path does not give you progress as a soul, which is why there is no progress being made. The World card reversed with the Four of Coins and the Devil. When we refuse to let go, when we refuse to end toxic cycles, it makes us feel like our feet is to the fire. And we hold on to it longer and longer, you know what I mean? Thinking that it'll get better. But the reality is it's a never-ending story. It's a never-ending story of holding on and attachment when we could easily remove those chains. We can easily put the fire to our feet out. The Father of Swords with the Fool, clarified further by the Five of Wands and the Nine of Wands. When we look at things from a higher perspective, right, the Father of Swords is very Aquarian, very Libran energy. When we look at things from the higher perspective, from the divine's eyes, when we allow ourselves to see in the dark, our own dark spaces, our own shadows, and gain wisdom, right? And gain wisdom from the dark. We really can look back and laugh. Because we thought we were this mature, wise, all-knowing, I know what to do owl. And we're just a baby bird. Right? We're just a baby bird. We think we're these grown-up humans, and really we're just spirit's little puppies. Figuring it out, pissing and shitting on the carpet, learning how to take it outside, right? We're not as smart as we think we are. We have a very mundane perspective, but we need that spiritual perspective. We need that spiritual perspective. We need to be able to see things from the eyes of spirit. If spirit loved me unconditionally and wants nothing but the best energy and experience for me, what lengths would it go to teach me how to do that? Would it give me free will and allow me to choose divine discomfort? To learn? Would it give me tragedy to help me realign with the happily ever after ending? The internal struggle, the internal conflict, when we find ourselves frustrated and annoyed and petty with our reality, is because we haven't gotten our Chiron wound under control. We're choosing to deal with an inner child who is wounded, or abandon our inner child altogether, to neglect it. That the way we deserved to be loved as a child, that we didn't receive, is the way that we deserve to be loved as an adult. That we do deserve to be loved that way. We feel this internal conflict because we choose paths that result in us feeling wounded, because the wounds are all we've known. But it was never what we were meant to only know. You know, if you caught the cosmic currency, we talked about it, especially towards the end, like there's more to life than suffering. There's more to life than obligation. There's more to life than that. Life can be beautiful. Love can be reciprocal. Emotions can be felt. Energy can be read. Communications can be honest. Commitment and loyalty are real. They can be. When you choose to learn it, when you train yourself to learn it, right? When you call in that spiritual energy and accept its existence, you let go of the nightmare. You let go of the anxiety. What you truly desire, right? In truth, what you truly desire is not anxiety. What you truly desire is to shine and to be seen in that beauty by soulmates, sacred soulmates, high mirrors, that this lifetime was specifically woven for you. Soulmates that heal that deep inner child wound from people who didn't love you the way you deserve to be loved. You deserve the rest and the reprieve that comes with embracing Christ consciousness and what that really means. What that really means when you can cut off the worms, the lower vibratory energies and shadows that have attached themselves to you because you're so used to having your face in the dirt, you know. The challenge in this spread, the X in the reading, is holding on to frustration, holding on to the wound, and not knowing how much more you can stand it, and yet holding on to it anyway. And being cold and calculating, highly analytical of the pain that you're holding on to, the crosses that you're holding on to. Being emotionless, not feeling your emotions and having them turned off and just dealing with the pain, not listening to it. Believing that life is shitty and then you die and that's it. And you're just dealing with the shit the best you can. Like that mentality, getting through that is going to be the biggest challenge. The value of this energy, though, the diamond in the reading, the world reversed with the Ace of Swords in the reverse, the Fool and the Devil. You can open a door and revisit something at any time. Where you've lied to yourself before, or where others are lying to you now, you can revisit it and find truth and take a leap of faith on something else. The beauty is that even if one cycle fails, if you didn't learn the truth before, you can go into another cycle and attempt to learn it again. We call it repeating patterns, right? Repeating karma, where we go through the same energy with different people until we learn it, until we heal it. Maybe you always had an attraction for crazy, psychotic people. And maybe you're realizing that every time you go after a crazy, psychotic person, it results in a whole lot of shit you don't actually want to deal with. Maybe you used to find a thrill in it. Maybe you don't anymore. And maybe now you're too old for this shit, you know? The value is that you can come back and revisit it and relearn it as many times as you want. You can repeat the second grade as many times as you need to pass. Spirit doesn't judge you. And you really shouldn't judge yourself if it takes you 2 times or 10 times or 100 times or 100 lifetimes. Time doesn't exist. Reality just transforms and we keep going. The point is that eventually you learn it, and that it feels really good when you do. It feels really good when you let yourself learn it. You can suffer as long as you want, but you don't have to. Suffering is a choice. Suffering is a choice. All right. Getting into secret codename Balthazar. Let's get a quick shuffle on these cards. Okay. Secret codename Balthazar. Balthazar as in the king of Macedonia. And there's like a biblical connection to that, which I thought was really interesting. So if you were drawn to the secret codename, I would totally look up Balthazar. After the reading, of course, because there's totally going to be something in there for you that's going to make sense, right? It's going to make sense with this read. So with that, secret codename Balthazar and those who are drawn to it in divine time. Spirit, what is the overall theme for them with this transit, this full moon in Pisces? We've got the bridge and we've got the healer. The bridge and the healer, card number 38 and card 25. All right. The bridge. The connection, the link, the gate. Bridges are built to connect two worlds. They create flow, allowing us to travel between realms, ideologies, personalities. This archetype is the gesture of acceptance, of saying yes, rather than withdrawing, separating, and saying no. When we cross a bridge to an unknown land, we are led magically into a new reality. We open up to others. Healing and communication are made possible. We enter a state of curiosity, wonder, and learning. The shaman, for example, creates the bridge between the everyday world and the sacred. This card asks us to study the connections between the seemingly disconnected parts of our life, relationships, ideologies, histories. Remember that a bridge can't be forced. It must be made with love, or the structure will not withstand the inevitable weather of life. When light, it is acceptance, magic, and communication. When dark, it is lacking boundaries and forcing connection. If you'd like to go deeper, look into the Bifrost, the burning rainbow bridge of Norse mythology. It says, lie on the floor and listen to bridge over troubled water. Notice the ease and acceptance within the melody. the feeling of rising above the muck. Imagine building a bridge. Then imagine building a wall. Which energy is needed for the situation at hand? Which image softens and heals the heart? Do you need a bridge or do you need the wall? What would better the situation? And if you've got your walls up already and it doesn't feel good, maybe it's time to take the wall down and create a bridge, right? Nod to the bridge being built with love energy, because it'll fall apart inevitably if it's not, right? The healer, card 25. The light worker, the gifted, the old soul. Though some claim the work of the healer as their gift and name it as their dharma, the force of this archetype is within everyone. It is our natural inclination to remember, to return to, and to reclaim that central and eternal life force from which we so easily drift away. In Sanskrit, the word avidya means forgetting. And it is said that this is the source of all suffering and dis-ease. The healer's mission then becomes to move through the comfort of forgetting, through the veils of ignorance and denial, to reveal the radiance that already exists. The healer approaches this in multiple ways, from multiple angles, knowing the cycle of healing is not linear. It is multi-layered and circuitous of process, always leading back to its own origin, much like the Ouroboros. When light, it is self-contained, grateful, and awake. When dark, it is tired, needy, and forgetting its own practice. If you'd like to go deeper, look into Asclepius, air spelled E-I-R, or Danvantari. The wounded healer is not someone who was wounded and is now healed. It is someone who continues to courageously break open the self and ego as a means for deep integration. The image of the serpent is eternally tied to healing and medicine, both Western, the caduceus, and Eastern, kundalini. Study the serpent and its power. You might want to go deep into Ophiuchian energy as well. Okay. When we're doing this bridge healer energy, right, this combination of cards for this read, you may have to bridge between your very mundane self and your spiritual self and start making those connections between the reality and your mirror, the as within and so without. And or you may be stepping into the healer role. You know, maybe you are the wounded healer. Maybe you have been going through pain cycles and learning the hard way because you haven't chosen the healed healer yet, right? The wounded healer is someone who is a hurt person and hurting other people because it is a part of the healing process to feel the wounds, to be in the multifaceted dimension of spirit that exists as pieces of all of us and see it from other angles so that we can really truly understand it. And then there is the part of us that reconnects and fixes all the shattered pieces because we start to see it for what it really is from a divine perspective, right? Ophiuchian energy is so powerful. If you've got placements inside the realm of Ophiuchus, then you know. You know. Let's get into the energy of it, right? I know. I love the Never-Ending Story too. I read the book when I was in like 5th grade. I read the whole book front to back. What is going on, Spirit? What insight for secret codename Balthazar and those who would be drawn to it? We've got the 10 of Cups, the Magician, and the Daughter of Pentacles. Clarified by the Mother of Swords, the 7 of Cups, and the 9 of Cups. Take it a layer deeper, please. The 3 of Swords with the Ace of Pentacles and the Father of Swords in the reverse. So we have the Queen and the King both out here, even with the King in the reverse. Bottom of the deck is the 4 of Swords. Top of the deck is the 6 of Wands. The victory is in the transformation, in resting inside of Christ consciousness and having that higher vision, right? With the 4 of Wands, even under that, a vision beyond being oppressed spiritually or being spiritually heavy, right? The 10 of Cups with the Mother of Swords and the 3 of Swords. When our fulfillment is something that comes with logic and reason, where it's very cold and dry, and there's no true spiritual love attached to it. When what fulfills us, we feel is in the shadows, it creates a lot of pain, right? The Mother of Swords is not known for being fluffy and light and loving. She's known for being cold and honest. And when we think we know what we want in a very cold and honest, realistic way, sometimes it's not fulfilling at all, right? When we attach ourselves to feeling fulfilled in things that our spirit is not attached to, it's just egoically attached, it is painful, right? It results in pain. We manifest confusion in the realm of sacred soulmates, right? We create confusion with the Magician, the 7 of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles. When we start these foundations with soulmates from past lives that don't love us, that ace, right? That single cup in the middle that's upside down. Soulmates don't love us the way we deserve to be loved because we don't know what it's like to be loved by spirit. And we manifest these soulmates that don't love us, and the foundation just gets cut. We start these foundations based off of energy, right? The manipulation, the Magician, the manipulation off of this high speed. I want what I want and I want it now, right? That cheetah energy. I want what I want and I want it now. And I'm going to create it, right? I'm going to create it without love being present, love from spirit, all masculine, all yang, no feminine, no yin. We create these foundations. We think it's what we want, right? The Daughter of Pentacles is the seed that we plant towards the wish fulfillment that our ego makes, right? We were talking about this in an earlier reading. The Star card is the soul wish. The 9 of Cups is the egoic wish. We start planting seeds to get what we really want, but we're disconnected from the higher perspective. We're not seeing with the eyes of spirit. We're not looking at things from a vibration of as within and so without. When we heal the self, we manifest what we deserve to receive, right? We don't have to force it. We don't have to make it happen. The King of Swords in the reverse is a fucking idiot. He's a fucking idiot. He goes into analysis paralysis. He's in manipulation, right? Trying to make things happen. He omits truths. He's a fucking pain in the ass. Not just to everybody else, but to his own self, you know? There's no logic and reason in being spiritually disconnected. We go after these wishes that we think we want. And it just ends up resulting in pain. Well, how do you fix that? How do you fix that cycle of wanting something and trying to make it happen only to get hurt, you know? Only to have it blow up in your face or fall apart or cause great pain? How do you end that cycle? You bridge the reality with the spiritual. You bridge your very human self with your healer self, your spiritual self, the self that is connected to spirit. It's not all yang. It's not all masculine. It is feminine and masculine. It is yin and yang in union. That's what it is. How do you get out of this cycle? By allowing your mind and your heart to work in honor of each other. That the masculine will surrender control and power, not all to the feminine, but to the value of what they can create when they work together. The masculine can't go choosing shit without consulting the intuition. Otherwise, we ignore red flags. We don't listen to people who love us unconditionally and are warning us in our reality that that might be a nightmare. That person's crazy. That person only wants you for this reason, you know, and we just ignore it because our mind wants what it wants. Our ego wants what it wants and thinks it can outsmart and outmanipulate and create what it wants and wishes to have when it's an egoic based wish, not a spiritual wish, a soul wish, right? It results in bullshit. The biggest challenge for you, the X of the reading, would one be creating more painful cycles with past life soulmates that do not have your highest good, where you're trying to plant seeds and seize opportunities with soulmates that are just pain cycles, where you're ignoring the red flags and getting your highest path all tangled up in pain. And the 10 of Cups with the 7 of Cups and the King of Swords in the reverse, thinking you can absolutely manipulate these sacred soulmates to be something that they aren't, that you can make them the fulfillment when they are not capable of being your fulfillment. They're not capable. They're not a part of that highest path. You can't make them what they're not. They're a lesson. They can be your lesson, but they cannot be what you want them to be if that's what they're not meant to be. The value of the reading, or the diamond. You can manifest with the Magician from a place of clarity when you get in touch with your heart's truth about what it is you want and what it is you used to want and why you wanted it. Why did you want what you thought you wanted? What was the wound, right, that triggered what you thought you wanted? And how is it misaligned? How was the wound false? That you were trying to heal the wound in manipulative ways, right? The value that you take away from these cycles is you can understand what the truth is about what it really is that you want and desire to receive. And that spirit hears your wish and will lay the foundation for it. Spirit will lay the foundation for it. without you having to try and force it. Spirit will make it happen, make it available. All you have to do is align yourself with it. Be in the vibration equal to what it's worth so that you can receive it. Being in a fear state is not going to get you in a manifestation of a love state. Being in a pain state, an anxious state, a doubtful state, a self-loathing state is not going to get you into the manifestation of feeling divinely imperfectly perfect. It's not going to get you into a manifestation that leaves you filled with joy and gratitude and satisfaction, feeling full, feeling loved, feeling seen. It's just not. You have to let go of one to get the other. You have to be able to build that bridge between who you were and who you truly want to be, what you used to receive and what you deserve to receive, right? Secret code name Balthazar. Don't forget to go Google it. The King of Macedonia, Balthazar. Okay. You may also want to go watch Fantasia. Okay. Quick shuffle on these cards. And then we're going to get into secret code name Archangel Haniel. Okay. Spirit, we love you and thank you, by the way. Timestamp for Archangel Haniel. All right. Archangel Haniel is such an awesome archangel. She's God's grace, God's mercy. And she reminds us that there's beauty even in the ugliest things. So, if this is your secret code name or you've been drawn to it in divine time, let's see what this theme is for you with the full moon. The offering wanted to show itself. We got the 1 and the shaman. Powerful cards. The 1 and the shaman. Card 30 and card 16. You might want to look up the Bible. What is 316? Why does it sounds like it's importantly familiar, but I don't remember exactly what it is. Is it the book of John? One of them is 316. You guys are going to have to let me know in the comments after. Okay. The 1. Card number 30. The 1. Non-duality. One love. Undus mundus. Our ability to experience this archetype firsthand is limited. It comes in brief and potent moments that we are left to savor for a lifetime. The 1 is both the energy that unites all living beings and our capacity to sense this intimate union. This archetype eludes us most of our lives, appearing as a concept in a distant galaxy. Yet when we are in the midst of its power, a solemn reverence falls across all the land. We glimpse ourselves in the vastness of all consciousness and are neither small nor large within that field. We are neither important or unimportant. All duality fades away, and we are left with what is, the precious knowing that life is a gift, and we are both the giver and the receiver of this fortune. When light, it serves, loves, accepts, and resonates. When dark, it ignores, omits, and excludes. If you'd like to go deeper, you can look into James Turrell's The Color Inside, the poem Self-Portrait by David White. The Undus Mundus is a circle representing the unity of existence. Is it possible that the beginning and the end of all things is love? It is said that Om is the primordial sound of the universe and that all other mantras are born from it. Simply imagining this possibility will activate the one. The one. The connectedness of everything. When you think about that everything is one, that nothing is separate, that even all the stars and all the galaxies and all the different planets floating around and all the different people on our planet and all the different universes that exist is all a part of one greater energy. It really makes a lot of our worldly problems seem so unimportant. Some of the decisions that we make are just so meaningless. And yet, it is in those very small, meaningless things that the very meaning of everything exists. The very meaning of everything. The one energy is love itself. And I thought about it for a while. It was like a few weeks ago now. No one knows, quote unquote, God's name. And I thought, it's love. God's name is love. That's why we say God is love. God is not fear. It's love. And so fear is just another facet or another expression of what love is and the duality of it all. Because it's from our darkness that it serves the light, right? The darkness serves the light. Fear is another facet of love. It's very misunderstood. But how would we learn what love is if we didn't have the opposite, seemingly opposite of it? So it can seem opposite, but it's still one and the same. It's just like a song playing a different note. If the song was just one note the whole time, it wouldn't sound very appealing. You know what I mean? The Shaman. Card number 16. The Magi, the Sorcerer, the Medicine Woman. 3 archetypal ingredients constitute the shaman, and all must be present in order to reveal its magic. First, the shaman is activated by long-standing and diligent study, the mentor. Second, its orientation is generously and accurately aimed toward the healing of the self, the other, and the culture, the healer. And third, the shaman has a knack for finding doorways to the other world, allowing psychic visions and old magic to leak into this world, the unseen. In this way, the shaman is a master who bridges the everyday and the sacred, revealing potent power needed desperately in our time. Yet where there is power, there is shadow. So the shaman must be vigilant in studying their darkness. This card reminds us that the force of healing is ultimately not our own. We must shape it and share it with the world. When light, it is a fearless student and practitioner. When dark, it overpromises, blames, and hurts the self and others. If you'd like to go deeper into this energy, you can read Black Elk Speaks and Michael Tucker's Dreaming with Eyes Open. Contrary to popular belief, the shaman archetype appears in every vocation. Teachers, directors, surgeons, politicians, and poets are all just a few faces the shaman may wear. The shaman can't be rushed. Working with this archetype requires study and perseverance. Think of it like bringing or marinating. The content must permeate every fiber. Brining or marinating, the content must permeate every fiber of its being. The one and the shaman. Everything and nothing matters, right? With the one energy. Everything and nothing matters because everything, all is everything. And if all is all and it's not separate, then what makes it so special, right? The duality of opposites. And the shaman recognizes that healing the self and others and culture, you have to dig into your own darkness and share it with others, right? The mentor, the healer, the unseen, connecting with spirit, connecting with the one, connecting with the everything, and sharing it. Because it is everything, even though it's seemingly nothing. Like, what's the point of my healing? What difference does it make? I'm just a person, a facet of spirit out of potentially billions, if not trillions of facets, or even more, right? What's the point if the universe is so great and big that it doesn't matter? And yet, it is exactly the reason. It is the whole reason why everything exists, so that the healing can happen and be shared. Even if it's from just one facet to another. It's still a part of the everything and connected to the everything, right? The shaman that gets into the crevasses of the unseen, who connects dots there. This energy with this transit is meant to bring you into union as the shaman of the one. Let's get some insight, right? Archangel Haniel, grace and mercy. God, or the one, grace and mercy. It's the shaman. The shaman is God's grace and mercy. What do we need to know, please, Spirit? insight into what this energy looks like for secret code name Archangel Haniel and those who are drawn. We have the Four of Wands. The Seven of Wands. And the Ace of Swords. Clarities, please. We have the Death card. The Son of Wands. And Judgment. Take it a layer deeper, please. How's that feel? The Three of Coin. The Nine of Swords with the Daughter of Swords. And the Two of Wands reversed with Temperance. Okay. For you, the bottom of the deck is the Daughter of Wands. And the top of the deck is the Father of Cups. The Black Swan, right? Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is also spiritual intelligence. It's intuitive intelligence. Divine feminine intelligence, which is a huge facet of the one, right? The yin and the yang, the light and the dark. We have the Four of Wands with the Death card and the Three of Coins. When we have a vision, a happily ever after vision that consists of deep transformation and overcoming mountains, that when you visualize your happily ever after, it involves this deep transformation and this conquering of impossible tasks. Seemingly impossible tasks. The Seven of Wands with the Son of Wands, further clarified by the Nine of Swords and the Daughter of Swords, which is the Page. This energy is about defending your spiritual right to blaze, to be the fire, to bring beginner's mind to the nightmare, right? The high anxiety that is in and involved in the collective, to bring a new way of thinking. It's trailblazer energy, where people would try and get you to come down off of the higher energy, right? The higher vibrations of awareness that inspires you, right? It's the reason why you wake up every day. You're inspired by this mission to bring the collective back to this vibration of love. The Truth, right? The Ace of Swords with the Judgment card. Further clarified by the Two of Wands reversed and Temperance. The truth is that light and dark, that the divine is the only path. There is not a crossroads. There's only one path, and it's alchemy. The truth is we are judged by no one else but ourselves, right? The collective one. We're judged by ourselves about whether or not we honored the truth of what love is. Did we walk in that energy? Did we truly walk in that energy? The answer is only no if you think that there is good and bad and right and wrong. If everything is one, then good and bad and right and wrong are completely irrelevant terms. You lived. You lived. And you loved based on the true definition of love. So how? How can you judge yourself for the different ways that you've been reinvented over your lifetimes? If there is no such thing, truly, as a crossroads, and there really is only the highest path, have you really fucked it all up? Have you really made mistakes? From the divine's point of view, no. Even my parents, even my exes, romantic friendships, family, co-workers, bosses, all of my exes, they were divinely perfect for my mirror. What I needed to heal at the time, when I was going deep and digging deep into my own shadows. They were perfect for me. So are they bad? Or are they good? Were they right or wrong? Or do those words seem to fall short altogether? They were divinely perfect from a place of love. A place of love that comes from everything that is, source, spirit, creator, that we're all a part of and can't be separate from. We just decide what we want to experience. Anything we experience is love. Anything we experience is the divine that loves us. It's just a matter of, what do you want to experience? What is it that you want while you're here? And if you want the best life, whatever the best life means for you, can you get out of your own way so that you can go experience that? Yeah. The biggest challenge for you with this reading is that the truth and the inspiration that you feel and the fire that you feel feels like an uphill battle. It feels like a mountain. That the vision that you hold, this happily ever after vision, is something that is constantly changing with time and energy, and there is no clear path. And that's what is the most challenging. That feeling. The value of it, the diamond of the spread, though. When you defend yourself and your transformation and the judgment calls you make about what you do or don't want to deal with, you really do lock in on that beginner's mind of what is anxiety for so many people. You really do begin to reset the collective mind when you defend yourself and stand up for yourself and the spirit that you've come to learn and know and desire. The spirit that inspires you. When you get into this deep scorpionic energy, this Plutonian energy, even Martian energy, when you really light that fire of transformation, you can't help but see the beauty in the nightmares. And that is such a gift. So many people get stuck on the fact that they have memories that are like nightmares. People in their lives that were so horrible, they're like nightmares. But when you see it from the divine's perspective, that oneness perspective, that healed perspective, all the pain goes away. It just goes away. There's nothing but love and gratitude left. And I think that's what you're learning not just to apply within yourself, but that's what you're teaching others, that facet of the self exists, and that it feels so good to be in it, that anybody can choose it, that anybody can choose to be the shaman connected to the one, that vibration is available for everybody. Your energy is so powerful. Just the fact that you exist in the energy of the whole really does mean that anybody can tune into it. Your presence in and of itself is healing. Think about that. I love y'all so much. Your girl needs to eat and be human. We've been live for 3.5 hours. And I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to get your timestamps in the description for you guys so you can hop, skip, and jump around wherever you want. And I'm going to go eat a spoonful of honey for my vocal cords. I'm going to go seriously nurture my vocal cords. And I will likely see you tomorrow. Until we next meet, guys. Bye.